She never came home that night. No calls, no texts, only silence. I sat at the kitchen table, a glass of water gone cold beside me, eyes glued to my phone. Every 10 minutes, I checked it, hoping foolishly. Midnight faded into 2, then 4. Eventually, I stopped pacing and just sat there, too numb to feel anger, too worn out to invent excuses anymore. I kept telling myself, maybe something happened. Maybe her phone died. Maybe she stayed over at a friend's. But deep inside, my gut knew the truth. She wasn't caught up somewhere. She chose not to come home. That day had felt off from the start. Breakfast was tense. She was distracted, texting nonstop. When I asked who it was, she smiled weakly. Just Kelly from Wyke. Kelly was her go-to name whenever I questioned her lately. She left around 5:30 p.m. for a team dinner, wearing perfume she hadn't touched in ages and a blouse I'd never seen. I told her to be careful. She nodded, like I was just a roommate. I waited up, first worried, then suspicious, then hollow with quiet clarity. At 2:15 a.m., a car passed outside. I hoped it was hers. It wasn't. The silence in our home was unbearable. I walked to the bedroom, stood by her side of the bed, staring at the untouched pillow. The bed felt alien without her. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat down, finally accepting what I'd been denying. I wasn't the man she came home to anymore. At 3 a.m., the door creaked open. I was on the couch, still wearing last night's clothes. She looked surprised, like she expected to sneak in unnoticed. Her makeup was smeared, her voice too casual. "Morning, you up early?" I stared at her. She looked away. That was enough. I didn't ask where she'd been. I didn't demand answers. I didn't want to hear more lies. Instead, I walked past her to the bedroom, grabbed a small duffel from the closet, and packed just the essentials: clothes, my charger, the book I never finished. At my desk, I scribbled a quick note on the back of a grocery list and left it on the kitchen counter beside her keys. "I'm leaving. Good luck with your team dinners. M." She didn't follow me. Not when the door shut. Not that night. Not the next day. That silence told me everything I was too scared to admit. The first night away was the hardest. I checked into a quiet motel a few towns over. Nothing fancy, just a clean bed and a bathroom that didn't remind me of her. I sat on the bed's edge for hours, waiting for a call, a message, a sign of regret. But the phone stayed silent. And as painful as that was, it was freeing. Because silence is an answer too. Her silence screamed louder than any confession. I kept replaying her coming through the door like nothing happened. Messy hair, distant voice. No guilt, no worry. Just finished. Like I was a chapter she'd closed. Maybe I was. I just hadn't admitted it yet. By the second day, I switched my phone off. Any message would only hurt, empty apologies or nothing. I didn't want to know which was worse. I walked long paths through unknown streets where no one knew me. No one pitied me. I bought a cheap journal and began writing the truths I'd been too afraid to face, not just about her, but about myself, about holding onto something dead. This wasn't the first time she made me feel like a backup. It started subtly: cancelled plans, trips that didn't make sense, emotionally checked out during talks. I made excuses. She was stressed. She was tired. She was going through something. Maybe. But she never let me in. Never answered when I reached out. I stayed loyal to someone who'd left me emotionally months ago. One night, 8 months before all this, we lay in bed and she whispered, "Do you ever wonder what life would be like if we never met?" I thought it was a late-night thought. I said, "I'd probably be lost." She said nothing, turned over and slept. Now I see it was a quiet admission. She was already drifting away. On the third day, I got an email. Not a text, not a call, just cold, clinical subject line. "Can we talk?" No warmth, no apology. Just, "I didn't think you'd actually leave. We need to discuss what happens next." No love, no missing me, just logistics. like I was a roommate moving out early. I didn't reply. Not yet. I wasn't ready. What was there to say? That I finally respected myself enough to walk away? That it hurt? But I chose peace over lies. If she wanted closure, she'd have to find it elsewhere. Because my closure came the moment I walked away and never looked back. A week later, I returned home, not because I missed her, but to gather what was mine. I didn't tell her. I expected change locks on new shoes by the door. But the house was too quiet, like it was holding its breath. Most things were untouched, just where I left them. But everything felt different. Smaller, colder. I'd outgrown it. Without realizing she wasn't there. I was thankful. I didn't want a scene. No apologies. No explanations. I didn't need answers from someone who already showed her truth. I walked room to room, letting memories sting before packing them. Our wedding photos sat on the shelf, smiling faces frozen in time. Her smile was real once. So was mine. But love isn't about how it starts. It's about how it lasts. And ours didn't. I found a note taped to the fridge. Rushed handwriting. 3 sentences. I didn't think you'd really leave. I miss you. Can we start over? I stayed at it. Not because I was tempted. Because it broke my heart. She didn't miss me. She missed a version of herself when I loved her. She missed comfort. Stability. Safety in knowing someone was always there. Even when she wasn't. But love isn't comfort. It's respect. The moment she laughed in my face and stayed out all night without a word, that respect died. I didn't take the note. I left it. To let her live with those words. To let her feel the weight of a door that never opened again. That night, in the motel, I slept deeply for the first time in months. Not because I was healed. Not because the pain vanished. Because I chose myself. Pain feels peaceful when it's not tangled in confusion. I've learned something. People don't always cheat with their bodies. Sometimes they cheat with priorities. With time. With silence. With every casual dismissal. Every late-night absence. Every lie easier than the truth. Betrayal isn't always loud. Sometimes it's feeling invisible. Like you don't matter. Until one day, you start to believe it. I don't hate her. I don't wish her pain. I hope she finds whatever she was chasing the night she didn't come home. But I won't be there. Because I meant every word of that letter. I'm leaving. Good luck with your team dinners.